Welcome, fans of flip clocks. We're going to look at how to take apart the Solari Udine Cifra 3. But first, a little bit about the clock. The clock is an Italian-made clock. It was one of the first that was marketed way back in the day. And it was well known because it was placed in the New York Museum of Modern Art. And many collectors have taken to calling the clock the Holy Grail of Flip Clocks. It's kind of stuck. I'm not sure why. They're not that hard to find. They are expensive though. And they have actually reproduced the clock. In 2015 they started doing that. Well, I thought I'd get some help from a friend from Italy to pronounce the clock correctly.
Ciao, flip clock fans! My name is Marco, and I am from Italy. This is how you pronounce the name of the Holy Grail of Flip Clock in Italian, Solari Udine Cifra 3.
I'm going to have to teach Marco how to pronounce. And here we have the clock in Flip Clock Fan Studios. And when you take a look at the clock, when you first get one of these, you're kind of looking around and trying to figure out how to open it up. And that seems pretty obvious. I'll look at the clock here. This is one of the originals. It was a European clock. Now you see here, we've got the minutes and the hours. That's the Solari Udine symbol there. And if I turn this wheel counterclockwise, you see it advances the minutes. And if I turn it clockwise by pushing on the bottom part of that wheel, it turns the hours. That's handy. That's really nice. And you see, well, there's a screw. You think, well, that's obvious. That's going to get it apart. But it doesn't. Here's the trick. Here's how you get these clocks apart. You will push the slide down and you have to take this screw out. Pretty nifty how they hid that. Anyway, we'll show you how to take this apart. Like I talked about, the clock was originally made in the late 60s, and it had its time, and then later, in the I think it was 1993, it's a flathead screw. In 1993, they reproduced the clock and called it the MoMA version, Museum of Modern Art. You see we've got some problems here. That's broken there. And what I've got here, I've got a clock to compare it to. This is a early version, and it was made for the American market. You can see 100 to 125 volts, 60 hertz. And I've already taken the screw out. And what I have found is the clocks were made from the same die. It was pressed out. It has the name there. It's exactly the same. Even down to the tool marks. You can look when they make these things. Little marks like this. It is definitely from the same press. So this is one of the earlier clocks. This one's in much better shape. Now later we'll compare this clock to the Museum of Modern Art version and also the new version. But first we'll go ahead and show how to take this clock apart. Well, once you've got the end cap off, you'll want to take this screw off. Now, usually you're a wide flathead. And when you put this back together, don't torque it down tight. That can actually cause some major issues inside the clock. It doesn't need to be torqued down that tight. This is just a regular screw. It's kind of flat on top. The cord gets plugged in here. That's what it looks like. Two prongs there. Fit on that. This is again the European model, so it has the European plug. There's the base. You can see where this clock needs to be whitened. The original color is close to that there on the bottom. So here's the motor, and interestingly enough, it was made by General Time, which is a U.S. company. They're the ones that eventually, they bought out Seth Thomas. You see Solari's written on the front there. That's a way to tell an original clock as well. I'll show you on another clock later. So you just pull it straight out. It's pretty straightforward. Well-made clock. The front, interestingly, is not yellowed. I think they painted that. I'm pretty sure, yeah. You can see the discoloration on the back. but the front of these have been painted and held up really well over the years. Now in this can here, sometimes these do not come out this easy. I think someone's forced this one out in the past, but it just slides out like that. If it doesn't come out easily, I would just leave it there. You see the ridges there, that's how you'll slide it back in. There's really nothing fancy about that, so there's no point in me showing you that. But I do want to, like I said, I want to compare it to another clock. This is what they call the MoMA version. It was produced in 1993, and it was celebrating the history of the clock being in the Museum of Modern Art. And you'll notice some differences right away. There's no Solari symbol there, and it's not on the glass, the front piece either. This is the battery compartment. It just slides off to the right there. You take a look at it, you see Museum of Modern Art. You notice that's in, they had the D New York. I don't know how to pronounce that. That's Italian. So they're proud of the fact that it was in the Museum of Modern Art. Now you take it apart the exact same way with the screw there. But I'm not going to do that one now. Now I'm going to show you, this is the modern one. This was made they started making these in 2015. You're going to notice something very similar here. There is no Solari symbol on the side there. Also, I'm going to need to take this apart. That white stuff's on the inside. That's come from the letters, or the numbers, the digits there. I'll have to take that apart and clean it. Well, the battery case slides off to the right as well. And again, you'll see they've used the same type of label on the inside. Yeah, I gotta clean this up. This is one that I have on display, so it does get dirty with time. Well, that's it. Just a little look at the Solari Udine Cifra 3, or Solari Udine Cifra 3. Thanks for taking the time.
When you get the time, come visit us at flipclockfans.com. This is how you pronounce